Hi. Hey, we want to talk about meaningful family traditions. Do you have meaningful family traditions? And we thought of one that we adopted from a book written by Florence Littauer a long time ago and she called them silver boxes. So this has been a long time tradition. And we want to tell you about it and how it works. Maybe you'd like to experiment with it. Yeah. Not
right.
everyone will embrace it in the beginning.
Yeah, and this, a lot of family traditions work when you have your own nuclear family,
Yes.
the mother, father, and the children
They
that
go
you
with
start
it.
out with. And then generations. We now have 5 generations in my family.
Wow.
And so people marry people with other traditions, and they don't like your traditions. And so this is just, it's sort of a complicated thing sometimes. But one thing that we have kept on going with for some time is what Claudia just said about silver boxes. So we gather for someone's birthday, and over the years there were so many that we would gather once a month and conglomerate all the birthdays together.
All the October birthdays.
Yes.
All the...
October birthdays, you mentioned that month. There are at least 12
Oh my.
family members in October.
That would take forever.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does. So, all of this has to be modified as you go along. But when we discovered this about silver boxes, we would gather for a meal to celebrate a birthday, and then we would concentrate on the birthday person or people one at a time, and each one was allowed to say to that birthday person what they saw in them that was such a blessing and such a gift from God that had been given to them in this family.
And some people are not used to encouraging and
Yes,
being that
and
personable.
saying words that
It's
are,
so true.
What do we call it?
Words of affirmation.
Yes, words of affirmation.
Words of encouragement.
That's right.
Saying positive things.
Yes.
We're used to saying negative things.
Yeah,
It would go really
exactly.
well if we could say something you don't like about that person. It would go really quick.
So true,
So
Claudia.
starting when your kids are young and training them. Okay, I want you to think.
Yeah, and
What
so
do
then
you-
we had to limit after a while.
Oh,
you
really?
know,
'Cause
if
they
it's-
were going,
yes,
going, going?
Yeah, 3 per person, and then they didn't like that and grumble about it. But what I found out is that when we do that kind of thing, it helps people concentrate on the good things in that child,
It's so true.
that individual, that
And
adult.
it really builds them up. They'll
Yes.
say, I don't want to do it, I hate it, and at the end they're just like almost crying.
Yeah.
Because no one has ever died of an overdose of encouragement. That's what I wrote in my book, How to Live Up by the Power of Encouragement.
And that's what Claudia has. She has a gift of encouragement. But we can encourage each other
Yes.
on special occasions like this.
Yeah.
And
Mother's Day, Father's Day.
And what it did in the family was create unity.
And closeness.
Where people were looking at each other and not being negative and complaining about the other person because we'd been speaking out these things.
The Bible actually says, encourage one another daily, not
Wow.
even just on your birthday.
Wow.
So we're training.
Where is that? Do you know?
In Ephesians chapter 5, toward the end, I
Very
believe.
good.
Yeah, you can look it up.
Uh-huh.
But it says, it might be in Hebrews too.
Yes,
but where it
I was
says,
thinking
as the
Hebrews.
day draws nearer and the days are evil, encourage one another daily. And so another thing, like if someone's embarrassed or something, you could say, or share, and we kind of give this little, here's an option if you don't just want to say,
What's your option?
Yes, is what's a really special memory you have with this person? Then they can say,
that's
I
good.
love it when you went riding bikes with me and
Uh-huh.
we caught frogs and da 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 da. And it just creates laughter.
Oh, that's good.
And it focuses on the person. And otherwise it can be so empty. Family gatherings, nobody goes beneath the surface. But people aren't comfortable with it, and I do have to say, and he's so funny, they joke I have a family member. He says, "Are we going to do tin cans?" I said, "No, we're going to do silver boxes." Anyway, I find that, yeah. So, but
Another
honestly,
thing,
mhm.
yeah.
No.
Go ahead with what you were going to say.
I forgot now. No,
I
go
was
for
sort
it.
of switching the topics about one conversation
Oh.
around a table.
But so just so
Yeah.
you know, you can say, okay, we've given verbal gift, we've given physical gifts. Let's do some verbal gifts.
Yes.
And those are long lasting.
Yes.
And
yeah.
so they are meaningful. And
So meaningful.
children receive.
But then you see them loving on each other and
Yeah.
not being mean to each other.
It
The
creates
small children
an atmosphere that's
It does.
uplifting.
It does.
It's true, and it brings tears. Like when it's your turn, and you think, oh, I'm such a bad mom. You know, you've had these negative thoughts, and you hear your kids say something like, "Mom, I love you. I love when you read to me," and you know, it creates an atmosphere of gratefulness and love.
Yes, and that's so important.
Our words
isn't
of love. So, you know, you could try to incorporate that and see how it goes. And people look forward to it. And you know, sometimes now some parts of my family, they like to write them down in their cards.
Right. Well, we do that too.
That's right. And so we said, well, that's fine. Then just read it out loud to me. It's the same thing, you know.
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's a very meaningful one.
It really is.
It really is, and it's very biblical.
Then what I was switching to thinking about, when you're having a special event as a dinner, we like to have one conversation around the table.
I never heard of that before I met Bonnie. I'm like, what? Because you know, normally just people talk to people next to them and don't listen to the person across. And I'm like, what a concept!
And then somebody's left out.
I know. And how did you even come up with that?
I have no idea.
Who taught you that? Your grandmother? No,
I don't know.
But she legislates and she says, let's have one conversation. I've tried that. My kids like say, oh, you're such a conversation cop. And I'm like, well, just for a little while, can we have? Let's all talk about this.
Yes, right.
So how's that? Why is that a good idea?
Yeah, it just includes everyone, and they have meaningful things to say about whatever the topic is, and so now oftentimes at a family gathering, I'll hear a grandchild say, "One conversation." And they'll alert everyone to pay attention.
Because Grandma's here.
Yeah, Grandma's here, but
these are
just
things
to
I
be
didn't
polite and
Yes.
caring about other people, and it's not every individual. It's looking out for others.
True, and don't dominate the conversation.
Yes.
Be careful if you're the only one speaking.
Yeah, all the time.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly.
We have relatives who do that, and you know, they don't ask a question. Ask questions of people about their life. Don't just talk about yourself.
Right, and listen and find out about people. That's great.
It's
So,
just loving people like God says to do.
that's
Love one another.
That's so true.
Yeah.
All right, we still have a little more time.
Family traditions.
Yes.
Oh, here's another thing. When our living room at Christmas started being where you couldn't move, there were so many boxes and gifts, and it took
so
hours.
many kids and grandkids,
Yes,
right?
to open presents. Yeah, because I have 28 grandchildren, because when they get married, I count their spouse. I have 20-some greats and 7 great-greats. Not that they're all here. There are some blended families that aren't here with us on events. But
I'm glad you count them yours. I know someone in our government who doesn't want to count.
Exactly. A 6th grandchild or a 7th grandchild.
Ridiculous. Right?
Yeah, it's so sad. So sad to not value a human life that a person in your family has created. No matter what the circumstances, we celebrate every child who comes in our family, no matter how they got here.
Yep.
But what we did when we saw this overload of gifts, and we didn't have the energy maybe to purchase gifts for everyone. So we came up with a plan to rent rooms at the local
Hotel.
what hotel
Embassy
is it?
Suites.
Embassy
Yeah.
Suites, where you get a free breakfast and there's a swimming pool and everything's open. You know, the rooms face a balcony where you can see, and there's an elevator that the kids go up and down in, and you can see each other. And we would rent a room for each family and gather for 2 nights, and we'd come together and have birthday celebrations with silver boxes even in our room at that time. But it was so much fun for the kids. And
So
then-
you're buying an experience,
yeah,
which
you
I
are.
like.
You're giving
that.
them an experience
Yeah.
and a memory. It's a memory. And so many have talked about it still. And my grandson Connor, who's now 25 and getting married soon, he said, "Grandma, we need to still do that, and we can all pay for our own rooms."
Isn't that great? And didn't one
Yeah.
time you just have a camp out in the backyard?
Well, we did have overnights just for grandchildren,
Yeah.
and would have a children's camp. And yeah, we've done different things, but the Embassy Suites was the
That's
best.
great. You don't have to do the work,
Yeah.
right? You
And
just
then
have to
then we'd
save
have a
up.
basket for each family with goodies and little gifts and so forth for the family.
So these are great ideas. How to make your family
Traditions.
gatherings. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think considering having an experience together. So we do have timeshares, and they're kind of small for the size of our family, but it's really neat if I can find one that has more bedrooms and we can all go away and have an experience together.
And recently I paid I used equity in my house and took it out and paid for my 4 daughters, adult daughters, and myself to go to Cozumel for 10 days. And that was glorious. So wonderful, to an all-inclusive resort where you don't have to search for food. You can have it whenever. And the beach and swimming pools, and it was wonderful. And we played games at night, or when it rained, we had games with us. We had Mexican train dominoes and things like that.
Did you
that we
bring a
played.
puzzle? I know you like to do puzzles out here at home.
Yeah, right.
That's
I don't
fun.
think so.
Yeah.
But
really, try silver boxes, even with girlfriend. You know, like have a tea.
Yes.
And
oh yeah, absolutely.
You can
We've
do
done
it
that a lot.
in any
Yeah.
situation.
Right.
Any holiday.
Any
time.
situation to encourage
Yeah.
and build up each other.
Right, as you are doing. That's a godly thing.
Yes, it
Edify
is.
means to build up.
Yes, it does.
So, and you know, it's interesting. Then you start thinking those good thoughts about that person
yes,
when you see
exactly.
them.
Exactly.
You're fostering a positive
That's
attitude
right.
toward each other.
That's right.
It's really important.
Yes, it
Yeah.
is. Okay, send us your questions
Yeah,
and
we'd
comments.
love to hear
Yeah,
comments.
and topics that
Topics
you'd
that-
like
yeah.
to have us talk about.
All right.
Okay.
13. That was good.
Hasn't gone off yet.
Oh.